Hello and welcome to another episode of TesterSpeak. And I'm your host, Brijesh Deb. With me today is my good friend Sumon Dey. Uh, I met him for the first time in 2019 in Agile Testing Alliance Global Testing Retreat. And believe me, it was a retreat meeting him. I mean, yes, the conference was great and all, but meeting him was extra special because I was following his body of work for a while before I met him. I had heard about him in circles. I had, read his blogs. He's been really good. And then I always had this curiosity of meeting him. And when I met him in an August company of some wonderful testers, and it was a fun conversation. And ever since that day, I have been following his work very closely. And I must tell you that he is not only a wonderful tester, brings in a lot of skill and ability into his craft. He, likes to talk about test automation, likes to talk about career journeys of testers and how people can grow and share that knowledge. And apart from that, he is also a wonderful blogger. So, without any further ado, let me get into a discussion with Shimon and let's find out more about him. Welcome to the show, Shimon.
Thanks, Brijesh. It was a pleasure coming to TesterSpeak. So yeah, looking forward to our discussion. Yeah.
Well, it is indeed fun for me to have you here on the show. And as I was telling you off camera, I must tell people on camera as well. For some reason, I always believed that Shumon is from Bangalore, only to find out that that he's right now in Pune. But I don't know, something to do, some some wire in my brain kept on telling me, no, this guy is from Bangalore. But nevertheless, probably because I'm from Bangalore, and so that's why. So I was kind of looking for maybe that's the reason. Okay, Shuman, how did you get started with testing?
Okay. So first of all, thanks. As I told you, it's a pleasure to be in TesterSpeak talking to you after ETA GTR back in 2019, and then again meeting again after this Corona pandemic and all. So thanks for that, providing me the opportunity to come to TesterSpeak. How I started my career in testing. So it goes long way back, right? So when I was in my college days, um, in one of the semesters, we had a subject on testing. So I, I, I loved it, whatever I read in the books, and I scored good marks on that particular subject in that particular semester. I loved it. And when I got placed in my first company, we had a training. Prior to that training, there was some segregation of people. I mean, some people were given some, it was not a lottery kind of thing, but it was based on the initials of the first name people. So my name starts with S. So people who are from R to T, they got testing.
That's
People
also a
whose name,
lottery. That's
yeah,
also a
that.
lottery.
So at least there is no probability kind of thing. You know that your name starts with S, you will get testing. I knew that. And some people whose name started with A to C and D, they got some SAP modules, some got Java. So that's how the allocation was done. And then we had a training where we went through the different testing techniques and all the different. It was first kind of thing that there was a very good trainer who provided training on the testing stuff, and there were some tools also, a little bit of management tool and a automation tool. And after that training, there was a exam, and after that exam, I was allocated to a project, and I liked it. It was fun. It was during my whole tenure as a tester. I worked in multiple projects with multiple clients and multiple domains, and it was fun. I loved it, and I still love it. And that's how things are going, and that's how I came across testing. Yeah.
That is fantastic. I mean, for someone to develop a love for testing right from college days and to continue loving it up for so many years after leaving college, it's really nice. I mean, it shows uh, how if you actually love doing something and you're actually doing that, how the journey becomes interesting. And So, during the course of your testing journey so far, have you uh, come across any situations where you've had to, say, for example, get into a very rigorous discussion with the customer, saying, "No, that's the way you should do it," or something like that?
Uh, there were many occasions. It was not rigorous as such, but those are kind of a collaboration kind of thing, communication, where I felt there are some problems that wanted to get rebuilt. So, and I think most of the clients appreciated that, you know, going to our discussion board, talking about the problems, raising the risks, and they were open to that. Most of the clients that I worked with, and sometimes things went out of control sometimes, but it was a part, I mean, part and parcel of our whole career. So but yeah, nice clients I worked with, and they understood the problems because we are experiencing the product, we are doing the work on the product, so they understood it. And some of the times they took some decision that we had to accept. And some of the decisions were based on our views, our viewpoint, and it was fine. I mean, the collaboration was there. Always the collaboration was there. This thing I understood during my initial days of testing, right? We have to collaborate and we have to speak to people. We have to raise the concerns. Discussion is important. Uh, Asking questions are important, and getting those cleared is also important. So it was nice for all the clients that I worked with. Yeah.
So, have you been in a situation where you have actually had to educate the client about testing?
Uh, Not like that. I mean to say, I would probably say that I was lucky. Most of the clients that I worked with, they understood what we are doing as part of testing. What they
Mhm.
understood that. Not as such. I haven't never encountered. Though I have
So
worked with
what?
multiple clients.
So the question is, what if you're in a situation like that in future? How would you handle?
Probably, I think if I get into a position like that in the future, probably whatever knowledge I am having on testing, probably I can discuss with them. I can share my knowledge. Probably put some data points from my experience that which worked and which didn't. That thing I can do. Probably, yeah. We can teach.
Another category of people who probably need some education in testing uh, are some managers who are from a non-testing background. So, has it been a situation ever with you that you've worked with somebody who's from a non-testing background and who's managing your project?
Uh, no, I haven't actually got the opportunity, or I
You
was
seem
never
to be a
managed.
very lucky man with that.
Yeah, so that's how thing unfolded. Luckily, or I mean to say, I never worked with someone, I mean, who was not from testing background but managing the project. Probably maybe in future, I'll work with that.
What would be your advice as a tester? You've seen quite a lot in the industry. Okay, what would be your advice to testers who are dealing with non-testing managers?
Firstly, I think if someone is dealing with non-testing managers, I think discussion is important. So first of all, if a person is in testing and if he has some experience and he's willing to learn, he's learning different things, collaborating with people, understanding the things in testing and reading blogs or whatever, maybe participating in conferences, he will obviously gain some knowledge on testing. So if he is working with someone who maybe due to their career they have not worked as testers or they don't understand the whole, probably what he or she can do, he can put his views on testing, what all things, what all risks, what are assumptions, and what are the different aspects of testing. He can talk to them, make them understand, and I think discussion leads to further discussion. So that will actually help to move forward. And it's okay, it's fine that probably there may be situations where the lead or manager may not have worked on the details of testing in the testing background. That's fine. But probably everything is willing to learn. That is the main thing. Uh, as managers, they will also accept that. I mean, whatever someone is presenting who have worked in testing. As testers, he or she will also bring his or her experience, and I think discussions leads to solutions. And yeah, there are some bits in testing that maybe they will find it difficult to cascade that information. Yeah, those are difficult. Yeah, there will be some assumptions also that these things are easy, these things are difficult. Why can these things cannot be done? So these kind of situations will arise. But I think more discussions, more skill development, all these things can be sorted out. I mean, everyone can learn from everyone.
Yeah. So one question on that one. I recently saw a piece of uh, wonderful writing from you, which spoke about things that people need to do to upskill. You know, that was the general sense. Now, you spoke about, you know, having that skill, increasing that skill. So, can you describe as to, if I start as a tester uh, tomorrow, if I'm a fresher and I make a start, what next? I mean, how do I go about upskilling? What is your suggestion on that?
So okay. So if someone is starting their career as a tester, so first they need to understand their responsibility. They will be testing things. So my point, the article that I wrote, the blog that I wrote, the first point there was you have to enhance your software testing skills. When I say software testing skills, it's not just going through the product and seeing, okay, this field is not there, that thing is not there, nothing like that. You will be experiencing that product. You will be trying to find problems on that product. You have to discuss those problems with your peers, with your leads, with your managers, with your stakeholders. Those kind of things that he or she needs to learn. And it's a lifelong journey. If someone is dedicated to testing, it's a lifelong journey. It's not like that 6 months I will know everything about testing and after that I will learn about the tools. Nothing like that. It's a lifelong journey. Even I am learning many things in testing. And that actually helps at a later point of time, these things they will not regret. This is something that this will help. So that is the main part, and that is the part that they need to continue. Coming to the auxiliary skills that which I say is like we have to understand that the complexities of the applications are also increasing. The mindset, the culture, there is a cultural development, a shift in the how the products are released to the production or how. So how can we upgrade? How can we understand? Can we dig deeper into those kind of things? So in that case, we have to know about the coding skill. I talked about, I think, one programming language, speak one programming language. Um, that is probably the next step. And then probably what they can do, they can try to understand the products. So what happens, what I've understood is like once you create something, you get to know that product better. Probably you will not be creating the whole product, but little bit of things. Like if you are creating a backend server or a front end thing, you will learn many things, and that will actually help you in testing it in a better way. Not only testing you, if you know about testing, if you know what you are doing, what is your vision, that will actually help you to use the tools that you'll be using later on. So my point is that understand what you are doing, you have a vision. If you are a tester, learn testing throughout your career, enhance your skills, collaborate with people, read blogs, articles, listen to podcasts, or go to conferences and see what people are saying. Collaborate with different people all over the world. They have different ideas. And one thing about testing is that you will, in your whole career, you will be working on a limited set of products that may be complex, that may be easy, that may be the complexity may be a medium
Yeah.
complexity. But once you talk to people who are working on multiple domains across multiple demographics, right, you'll get to know what all challenges they are facing, and
Right.
that will actually help you to increase your experience. You may be not directly working on that product, but you know that, okay, so I spoke to someone, he told me he worked on that product and he solved that problem. So collaboration is important. Being active in the community is important, very much important. Coming to the tools, if I talk about the tools, then come the tools. How tools are assisting you to help your job done, get your job done, and then comes the tool. So that is another point. Is like if I want to solve a particular problem with a particular tool, is that tool the best solution for that problem? Is it providing some value to it? Okay, is it saving me some time, and is it giving me the opportunity to work in some other critical task that will provide more value? Okay, those kind of decisions need to be taken, and those kind will only this kind of decisions will only come from knowledge, And for that, gaining knowledge is important about the product, about testing, about programming also, I would say. So these are the things I think which I talked about in that blog. I think it is helpful. I got some message that they understood what I'm trying to say, and that's I think yeah.
No, the message is loud and clear. I will put the link of that blog in the description of this particular video when it goes out. Um, but I have a question on that. Okay, uh, it is a really good explanation to what a tester must do to become better, as a tester. I have a question. Okay, what if I am not interested in doing test automation?
So there are two aspects to it. One is test automation. So if someone is not willing to put use code to check the already known features, well and good. If he's not interested, if he doesn't like it,
Yeah, yeah,
see in every career, in every aspect, if someone doesn't like it, that's fine. He doesn't like it. But at the same time, coding is not only about test automation. It will actually help you in your testing work also, spinning up some environment and doing stuffs. Even if someone doesn't like coding, that's fine. I mean, for him or her perspective, that's fine. Then also he or she can add value to the product. He will be able to add value to the product. How can he or she do that? Same line, understanding the product, revealing the problems, understanding testing, putting all those testing techniques. How can he or she can add value? So that's okay. That's fine. If someone is not willing to add coding to their arsenal, that's fine. I mean, but yeah, obviously the different complexities and the way the different technologies are coming up, it will be a little bit difficult. It will be a little bit difficult, but yeah, he or she needs to put more word on understanding the technologies. It will be difficult, but that is possible.
yeah. I at least know of three testers who uh, don't have such keen interest in test automation, but all of them are domain experts. All of them are subject matter experts in what they do, and that is purely because of their understanding of the project product, and their understanding of testing, which makes them the experts that they are in their respective products. So I can very well vouch for what you're saying. Having said that, let's talk a little bit about the growth path. Okay, and so if a tester is away from the world of from test automation, okay, do you think, in your opinion, and what you have seen around you, do you think it is a challenge in terms of growing in the career journey? I mean, does coding knowledge or test automation knowledge help you grow faster?
Yes, definitely, definitely. That helps. I'll just share my experience. Uh, I love testing, as I told. I love testing. I wrote many articles and blogs on testing. I heard many people. So, but something was lacking there. So I tried to find out what thing was lacking when I was talking to developers, when I was talking to the business people. What thing was lacking? What was the same language that is lacking between us? How can we move collaboratively? Right? So these things help, right? So if definitely if someone wants to have a growth mindset and wants to excel, so probably that will be the best good approach to know about testing, to know about coding and programming. That will actually help. And this is I am speaking not from any seeing anyone. This is from my experience, how I try to enhance my skill set. Yeah.
Well, that is interesting, and I'm trying to get this information because the intention is for other testers to understand what goes behind successful journeys of testers. Okay, when we say that a particular tester has grown very fast, there is a lot of effort that goes behind it. Okay, like you said, building uh, your knowledge base in testing, first step. Okay, become expert testers first. Then you start to look at adding skills to your repertoire where you actually uh, focus on say one programming language, and then take it a little further, like you said. I mean, so people need to understand that yes, it is possible to survive without the knowledge of coding and test automation, but your growth may not be as fast as somebody who also has the knowledge of coding and test automation. If I understand you correctly, Shuma.
That's fine. And also it depends on the how the things are unfolding in the future. We can predict the future, but we don't know the future, right? How things will unfold. So obviously the testing skill is something that is needed, right? Nothing is going to replace it, right? No one is. But at the same time, the asks are more. How can we more add value to the product, right? So if I'm tasting something, probably a little bit of help here and there would also help the whole product. So that's how thing will unfold probably in the coming future, and we have to also think about that.
Now, I wanted to get your perspective on test automation. There is so much emphasis on test automation these days, that there is so much emphasis that the emphasis on core testing skills seems to be decreasing. How do you look at that?
That's a fact actually. This is a fact. So even when I discuss with people, I mean, who have just started their journey in their career, and they're more interested in learning the tool first. Which tool to learn? I have learned A, B, C. I want to learn X, Y, Z. Okay, so that is the tool first mindset that people are having. For us, we have spent some years in the field and in our career, in the industry. We know what all things are important and where tool fits in. But this is a very challenging situation. People who are coming in, probably they are going to the social media and seeing post only on test automation, probably a less bit of testing related skills, probably, and that is giving them that view that okay, I know test automation, I know most of the things, and I will survive that, right? But why is it used? Where are you using it? Those kind of, the vision. If the vision is missing, you are not going anywhere. So it's also kind of a catch up game. You see, when I think about the tools, right? So every tool will come. Probably some will survive, some will vanish, and also there are some releases will come on. It will keep on changing. So how can you do that? So my thought process is like that. Uh, Enhance your testing skills, but at the same time also learn the code engineering fundamentals, which are there, will be there 20 years, like to 10 years, 20 years, to 10 years, like how things are moving in the net, the client server architecture, all those kind of things that will actually help. Test automation is not only about tools. So
Right.
probably there are XYZ tools, but what problem are they solving? Are you understanding the problem, or are you understanding how the test automation are put into that whole structure, the framework, and the work is done? Are you understanding that code engineering thing? So if you're not focusing on those kind of code engineering fundamentals and testing, so it's always a catch-up game. So it's 2021 now. In 2023, some other tool will come, and then you will again learn. In 2024, another tool will come, you will again learn. And how can you? So it actually makes it easy. From my experience, what I can say is that if you know the code engineering fundamentals, and if you know the things that actually form the basis of the products, right? It actually helps to take up. I mean, if you know how to read documentation, that's also important. So it actually helps to know about a tool quite easily, rather than spending, there are cheat sheets and there are commands. It's like the code maintainers can change the APIs also.
Yeah.
So, right? So memorizing doesn't work. So we have to understand those things. Yeah.
So yeah, there's this uh, example that always pops up in my head, and our dear friend and one of our co-enablers, Faiz Modi, always talks about the hammer and the screwdriver example. You take a screwdriver, sorry, hammer and a screw example. You take a screw and you have a hammer. Okay. For nail, you will use a hammer. For screwdriver, also you will use a hammer. Doesn't make sense, right? So if you have a tool, you must first know how and where to use it. Okay, and it is not just that a tool can be used in one particular situation. It may be useful in other situations also, which may affect or enable you to do different things as a part of your testing journey. I mean, like for example, recently we had this, contest at the test chat where we said, okay, we know that okay, Selenium is used for automating browsers. So a lot of people use it for UI testing and things like that. What else can you use it for? Okay, and there were some wonderful results that people came up with. Of course, the winner's video is on YouTube, and in fact, today we have a conference where people are going to be talking about it. We have three winners talking about it at the Selenium Summit today. So it is very, very interesting to see how people can actually use tools. And that brings me to my next question for you, Shwan. Uh, Tools knowledge. Okay, if I want to gain knowledge on a particular tool, is it just like that I download the tool and I get started with it? Or do you think there is some preparation that is required to learn a tool?
Yeah, so I think this question is a very good question. I think I was thinking about this thing. How can we expedite the learning of tool? Some tool comes. So probably what my approach is kind of to, if I'm trying to learn a new tool that I don't have any idea about, I don't know anything, starting first from scratch. I first try to go for a video tutorial, maybe a free video tutorial, if someone has put that video tutorial to gain the basic knowledge of what the tool is doing. So that is the first thing, first step I do. If I don't get it, I directly go to their site, try to find if there is some video they have put in, or and then the thing is the documentation. So documentation part is very important. I think this everyone is realizing this, even the products who are launching the tools, right? The companies which are launching the tools. Going through the documentation will be the next approach, and trying out things in your local. So you'll not get the opportunity to work with that tool maybe in your project or in your work. So you have to take some time out from your daily routine and maybe over the weekend and try those tools out in your local. Try how things are happening with that tool, and what will help, it will the blogs and articles in Medium or somewhere else, or the YouTube videos, these will actually help you to progress. Now once you are comfortable with that tool, how can you enhance that knowledge, right, of that tool knowledge? You have to go through the documentation which are elaborative. It will go deeper, it will take you deeper, it will take some time, right? And that is how, and once you go through the documentation and experiment on that particular tool in your local, things will stuck in your mind. Okay, these things happen due to this. So that's how my approach is to learning a tool. And probably another thing is that I'll like to add, if you are learning a tool and if you're understanding things, put it out to the world. Write some blogs or take articles, your views, and try to understand if someone has worked on that. They will probably write about that. Right? So sharing is kind of thing that helps us to grow. So that's how my approach is towards learning a tool. And I think people should learn tools, uh, fill their toolkits with the tools, because that will actually help them to analyze the problems and come up with probably the optimal solution according to him. So yeah, that is important.
That is a brilliant response, and that is something that people should listen to time and again. You know, uh, something that I want to talk about is based on what you said earlier. You said an insight into the problem. People should know what problems they are trying to solve. Okay, so problem solving is not natural to many of us. It's again a skill that we learn over a period of time. So, in your opinion, okay, through testing, how can somebody visualize solving a problem?
So some problems can be explicit, some problems can be unknown. So we cannot predict the problems that we'll be facing.
Hmm.
So what we can probably do, we can bring our insight, our intuition, our experience, our knowledge, our our experience with different tools or products in our past. Right? And that will actually help us to come up with problems and reveal those problems to the people who will take the decisions whether that's actually a problem or not. So how can we enhance that problem revealing skills? Probably will not solve every problem. Probably will be revealing those problems, and may people probably will ask someone to solve that problem for us. So how can we get those problems? So that will come with experience. What I would suggest, try to solve problems of others. I think that is the quickest way of knowing about different problems, and that is the quickest way of reducing the amount of hours. We say that you have to spend certain amount of hours to be expert in something. It's a kind of theory, but how can you reduce those hours, right? I mean, reduce the time spent. You have to solve other people's problems. You have to know what people are dealing with. And what happens is that once you see someone's problem, you might not know it. You'll probably Google it. You'll go to the Stack Overflow, find numerous solutions over there, right? And what happens that you are trying to find one solution to a problem, you get to know 10 solutions to the problem, or 10 problems which require 10 solutions.
Yeah.
So, things compound like that. So that's how we gain more experience, and we enhance our problem developing or problem finding skills.
That is something really interesting that you mentioned, that you may be in a situation where you may discover that there are still further problems which need to be solved, or there is the solution to many such problems which you have just discovered that they exist, and the solution that you're working on may solve a lot of them, which is a brilliant response. Now I want to talk about the other side of you, which is the brilliant writer side of you. Okay. And I say this because I have gone through your blogs, and your blogs is the first place where I got to know about you. I was reading a blog, and I was very, very, thrilled to read your article. And ever since, I've been reading stuff that you write. So as a tester, uh, or in general, I mean, not even, let's not talk about just a tester. In general, anybody in the industry, for that matter, how important is it to develop this writing skill?
Okay, so thanks for the compliment first. So it was coming from you. It's like, okay, so I started writing from 2019. I mean, back in my school days and college days, I used to love writing. So what actually it helps, when I wrote for the first time, I was thrilled. I was thrilled. Like, I am producing something out of my knowledge, out of my experience, and it was out of my experience. And I am sharing with the people so that at later point of time, if they come across any problem that I face, they don't face it. They have those solutions ready. So it's not only for that particular article. Why I started writing article, it actually enhances my writing skill first. Second thing is that it's kind of, it acts as a reference to my reference of my knowledge. If I'm learning something and I'm putting it into records, I'm putting it in a blog or an article, at a later point of time, I can refer that particular article, and I can recall, okay, because human brain, we cannot memorize and know and remember everything. It's not possible. So we have to go back to the whatever we learned before. I mean, references. So that is the second point that I started writing, put those things as references and coming back to those things at a point of time when I need those. Third thing is that I am helping people. So helping is important because I have learned it in the hard way. It means I have, I, I learned about things from myself. I did trial and error, right? So that should not be the problem for other people. If I'm knowing something, and I can put it to the people, they will also get some help out of it. And the fifth thing is, like, it also helps me to collate everything. I have also put my personal website, so where I try to write my whatever I study, I put those as references. So it actually helps me to collate everything in a particular place, in a single place, and refer it at a later point of time. So there are multiple aspects to it. And also, if I am having for a particular knowledge, a particular tool or technology, I'm having a limited knowledge. And when I try to write, collect my thoughts and try to put it in words, probably I'll do more research on that particular topic.
Right.
Okay? and that will actually enhance my skill on the particular topic. So that is another benefit that I get out of writing those things in my blogs and articles.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant thinking. And what I want to add from my perspective is that writing, when you write something, when you write an article, you put it out. There are people who read it, and then there are reactions. There are feedback. There is a chain of feedback that comes in, and that feedback helps you learn even more. So there may be points that sometimes, and I have experienced this, that there are at times certain points that I did not know about, and as a feedback, when somebody wrote about it, I discovered, oh, this is also there. So that's a learning again. So it just builds on how we go about it. So you said you started writing in 2019, and then you've made it more or less like a good practice to write it regularly. So there was a question that was asked in the test chat platform yesterday. Okay, just yesterday, I think it was, I don't remember if it was Anand Jairam who was the one who asked. Probably he was. He asked, okay, uh, when do you write? Do you write regularly for say 15 minutes every day or something like that, or you do it in the spur of the moment? So how do you manage that time to write?
Writing is something that is I enjoy. So if I put, you know, probably there are people who might be putting some limited amount of hours per day to write. For me, it's not like that. I want to keep it as a enjoyment and learning experience. So what my approach is towards writing is like if I'm learning something, if I'm enhancing my existing knowledge on a particular tool or technology, if I am having some time out of my work and family, mm, then I write. I spend some time. I think about this because writing is something that I have to think about many aspects. Like I have to fresh up my mind and write because these things will help many people. I don't want people to be, I'm putting out half knowledge. I want to collate everything, put everything together, bound it, and present it to the people. So I take time. Even it happened that I took 2 weeks to write a single article. It's fine. I mean, whenever I feel like I write, and I think I want to what I want to do going forward is like to be kind of consistent on that. It's not like that I am writing something and after 6 months, 7 months I'm writing something. I don't want to do that because that will actually writing is another motivation for me to learn things. So that's why I want to continue. But timing wise, I don't have any limited time that I am putting for writing.
Yes. you, excuse me. You mentioned that take you don't want to be in a situation where you take 2 weeks to write an article. Uh, that reminds me of a very funny story about myself. That I started writing something, and I wrote it and I put it in the draft, saying, "Okay, I'll complete it tomorrow." It was 3 months later that I remembered something is in the draft. Okay, I actually forgot about it.
Okay.
Okay. And so I finished that article somehow when I realized. The same thing repeated yesterday. Okay. There was something which I started writing in the month of June 2020. And I wrote it almost three-fourth. And it's there as a draft. And I completely forgot about that article. Completely forgot about that article. I saw it yesterday. I saw it in the draft and I said, damn, this did I start writing this? When did I start writing this? Then I looked at the history and it said, I think 10th of June 2020's draft was saved. And I was like, I'm yet to get to it and complete it.
One positive thing about that is that because you took so much time, you are in a better informed position from them. So
Hopefully I
probably
am. Hopefully I am. But this thing happens with me a lot because I am a very impulsive writer. Okay. I uh, write any time of the day. Okay, there is there was one article which I wrote in the middle of the night, 2 a.m. I was sleeping and I suddenly woke up, got this idea, wrote that article, pushed it immediately within like 30 minutes or something like that. Okay, of course there were some typos which my readers pointed out to me, but it was very quick thing that I did, and then I realized that no, it is for me. It is I cannot be methodical or very systematic with writing. I was reading yesterday about some author, and she mentioned that she's written uh, I think 20 lines or 30 lines every single day for the past 5 or 6 months to complete her book. Okay, so well, that's
Sometimes it's also the flow. If you're in a flow state of mind, it's just too quick. I have also done that. Within 2 hours, the whole article is complete. So it's also depends on those factors. Yeah.
right, right. Well, that said, I want to take this discussion to in a different direction now, and want to do my fun segment called the rapid fire. So I have a few questions for you. You get not more than 5 seconds to think about an answer. And if it is a multiple choice question, you will have to explain why you're choosing that particular answer. Okay. Uh, so to begin with, I know you're a Bengali, but still, I'm curious to know what's your favorite food.
Biryani.
That's a different combination for a Bengali to say biryani. All right. And which is your favorite city in India?
Pune, definitely.
How long have you lived in Pune?
I am living. So I started my career in Pune back in 2012, and then I moved to Bangalore and Hyderabad before coming again back to Pune in 2014. So since 2014, I'm consistently in Pune.
So,
7 years.
so you have tasted the biryani in Pune, tasted the biryani in Bangalore, tasted the biryani in Hyderabad, and and you came back to Pune.
So that was kind of a thing I had to adjust. Yeah, but coming to the biryani point, I mean, Hyderabad biryani was awesome. I liked it. If I have to choose between Pune, Bangalore, and Hyderabad, so it was awesome.
Yeah, no, that was just a crazy question. Well, okay, so I also know, being a Bengali, there is this instinct of us which is a little leaning towards our love for football as a sport. And from and you were telling me that you were from Kolkata. So Kolkata, of course, one can easily associate with football. So which is your favorite team, Brazil or Argentina?
Should I talk about the club that I
No,
follow more?
no, no.
Okay, definitely. If I talk about the country, I mean national, international football. So it's Argentina. Okay. So yeah, I know there are two segments who either support Brazil or Argentina in Kolkata. Yeah, I support Argentina.
Why?
Diego Maradona, Lionel Messi,
Okay, good reasons. No words after that. All right. Uh, Now you can reveal your favorite football club.
Manchester City FC.
Manchester City FC. Well,
Yeah,
there is. So you have a rival sitting right on the other side of the screen.
yeah, I understand.
Well, I have an undying love for Manchester United for many, many years now, almost 15, 20 years almost. That I first came to know about that club. And for whatever reason, I have liked the Red Devils as they are called. So it is good. I mean, yeah, we have not been great lately, but look at the history. You let's and I mean, just from not just from the club or the players, one would associate Manchester United with Sir Alex Ferguson. Okay, and knowing about his style and his management style, I think it's an education for a lot of us as well, that there is a lot to learn from the way he managed that entire club for such a long time and took it to its peak and kept it at the peak for quite a while, which is quite a brilliant achievement. And you know, learning about stuff, learning about management, I think that's a good thing to do. So that's okay. Now, coming back to my last question for you, if I were to give you a choice between doing software development and doing software testing, which one would you choose and why?
So there is no third option. So I have to choose between.
Yeah, yeah, no third
So
option.
no third option. If it would have been, my what my answer would have been. So yeah, obviously software testing. And
Okay,
why? Yeah, yeah. So
no, no. So, what is the third option that you
third option is participating in both.
participating in? Both.
In both, I mean.
All right.
So, but if the choice are only two, I mean, picking up software development and software testing, I will definitely go for software testing because this is something that I started my career with. I spent most of my time with. I met so many brilliant people around the world on this community, and there are just many reasons. And this is something that I have spent lots and lots of hours on enhancing my skills, and this actually helps me to contribute to the whole product, the whole project. Enhancing my coding skill, I can also contribute to the development and the design phase. I can also contribute to the testing phase. I can also contribute to the different DevOps, the practices, the cultural movement. I can work on many things if I, but the love will stay for testing. So that actually helped me to upskill my career. I mean, upskill myself and enhance my career. I love it. I
So,
still love it.
coming back to testing, I have had this question and I wanted to ask you for a long time. What is your perspective on testers learning about things like testability, for example, or test design? What is your perspective on that? How
So
important how important is it for testers to learn that?
yeah, responsible testing, that is important. You are responsible. You are responsible for knowing things about the product, experiencing that product, exploring and exploring that product, and understanding what the product means to different kind of people. It may be different to developers. It may be different to the user, people who will be using it. It may be different to the support people who will be maintaining it. Right. So testability perspective, I think you have to understand that product, how testable is the product. Is it testable to the can I reveal problems that the maintenance people will face? Can I reveal those problems that the end users will face after the product goes live? Can I reveal problems about the product that actually help the management or the stakeholders to take decisions? Is the product in that particular mode of in that status in that particular state? Okay, so those things, knowing those things is very important. If I am saying that I am a tester, I am taking responsibility of knowing the product. Those things are very important.
So, do you think we have enough discussions within our communities or at events about things like testability, like test design, test architecture? Do you think there is enough discussion about these topics?
No, I haven't seen too much discussion on these topics, and probably the reason is because when this kind of discussions come in, people share their experiences, and that's fine, and we want experiences to get shared with people. That's what I say. It will help. But if I talk about the community, I have seen less number of discussions on these aspects of testing. On
Right.
these aspects of testing means testability, the one that you were saying, the different oracles, the risk analysis, the things that I think in one of my posts I included those things.
Yes.
On that particular topics, knowledge is important. Reading books or blogs is important, and throwing some light, sharing their experience. How can we improve those techniques? Those are not kind of a hard rule that we have to follow, but how can we enhance those kind of ideas? We don't discuss it. So that is lacking. Probably that is lacking because people who know, probably they are not putting those out, and probably that may be the reason. I'm not sure about the reason, but yes, if you ask about whether those things are lacking or not in the community discussion point of view, yes, those are lacking. But we have to take that forward. We have to discuss those particular aspects of testing, and I think people will get to know the value of what those things bring onto the table.
And the reason why I went back to that question is, again, the inspiration comes from your blog, because I recall having read about it, and I was like, you are one of the few people who actually likes to speak about these things. The other people that I can actually think of talking about these things are James Buck, Michael Bolton. They do it on a regular basis. They talk about testability, they talk about test design, and but I see a lot of focus being given to test cases. Okay, people want to write test cases. Now, what is your opinion on that? I mean, is it important according to you that, okay, I have to write certain number of test cases, 100, 200,000, whatever?
I thought about that. Means this is a general kind of thing. If you go and see people talking about test cases, a subset of the whole testing that you are doing for the code, a subset that probably is required may not be required. Okay. But sticking to that only point about a particular product testability, or I mean product testing something, sticking to that these are the number of test cases. If these test cases pass, my product is good. If these test cases fail, I'll raise a bug. So I think we have to come up over that kind of a mindset. Probably we have to think from a holistic point of view, think about the product, and don't just we'll say we have to come over that approach. I mean, test case is fine. If you want to keep test cases, keep it easy, keep it. That's fine. But you have to go beyond those test cases. You have to understand those things. Do some exploratory stuff. Talk, think, gather knowledge for the product. It may be from documentation. It may be from the marketing materials. It may be from anything. Gather those information about the product. Understand the product. Those things are important, and those things may not be covered in the test cases. Those things, some problem that is hidden, that I think some people call it deep knowledge of that particular product. So those things are hidden, maybe intermittent. So how can we find those? We have to go deep inside and find those things. Maybe those things are not covered in the test cases. So you are putting risk. You are putting the something that is risky, right? So yeah. So that's my thinking is about test cases and product testing.
And when you are talking about risks, are there many discussions involved around risks?
So risk, I think what's happening is that when I talk about use the term risk, so
Hmm.
people understand it in a day-to-day life. Okay, risk, and there is no risk. So they think about that, but we also have to understand that there is some procedures. I mean, I think I talked about that fishbone diagram analysis. Right? So there's some techniques, there are some procedures that actually will help us to think holistically about the risk-based approach that we can take to reveal those risks, right, for the product. So I think procedural wise, I mean, we have to read stuff, we have to understand stuff, and that will actually lead to more important and collaborative discussions between the people. Okay. So I think, yeah, discussions are less, that's a fact, but also the discussions that are happening, those are kind of we have to streamline those discussions around some particular data points or particular approaches that will actually help people also to participate and share their experiences. Maybe from the experienced testers who have spent 15, 20 years in their career.
Yeah, that is something very important. I think uh, you highlighted some of the big things that people need to be focusing on, and as testers, if you're listening to this episode, after you finish listening to this episode, go back and think on the points that Shumon just mentioned. Think about testability of your product. Think about how many times you've walked up to your product owner and say, hey, I don't think this is testable. Or let's talk about the testability of the features that you've listed. Think about those things. Think about how you're going to highlight the risks. And when you say risks, do we first understand the process of how we identify those risks? You know, things like that. And I will bring it up to you, Shuman. Do you think we as testers are skilled enough or trained enough on our risk identification and risk analysis skills?
Um, it's hard to generalize the fact because I have seen some people, some experienced people who have a lot and lot of idea. I mean, they have worked on those stuff. They have learned those stuffs, maybe out of their own interest, or maybe they undergone some training, and they understood those things. That's a fact. But most, if I take majority, I see a lack. I probably say there is a lack. But yeah, obviously, I mean, there is always a scope to upskill ourselves in testing. I think that's the approach that we need to focus on. But yeah, there is a obviously there is a lack. But at the same time, I want to sound positive. There are many people who are talking and speaking about that and talking about different persons who can help on this perspective on these things. And that's a very good sign. I think things will improve. Yeah. And we will continue this discussion. Yeah.
Well, there is a risk analysis workshop that is long overdue within the tested community. I mean, I spoke about it, I don't know when, November, maybe even before that. And it's been pending since then. And people have asked me in the group, but we just haven't had the opportunity of doing it so far. So there is something that is already there in my mind that I wanted to do, is to do a workshop on how to identify, how to analyze, and how to, you know, think about mitigation, how to project those risks to the stakeholders. You can't go to a stakeholder and say, you know what, my testing has found these risks, deal with them. You can't do that, right? You have to think of mitigation. You have to show how you have arrived at those risks and what is your analysis, what may be the effect if they materialize, and what are the mitigation plans, what is the contingency in case those risks actually materialize. So all of this is definitely a part of testing. Okay, and if we as testers want to improve our skill, we would want to pay attention to these small things. So during the whole course of the discussion, Shubham has highlighted very, very important parts of testing that we must pay attention to. He's spoken about being expressive, and what he likes doing about it is, going out and writing about it. Some of you may not like to write. Some of you may just want to, you know talk about it. So go to conferences, do meetups. Nowadays everything is online. Do record a webinar by yourself, nobody's stopping. Just put it out on YouTube, maybe. you know it's one of the thoughts. So what are your perspectives on doing something like that, a webinar or something?
I think that's fine. I mean, anyway. I mean, if someone doesn't want to write, I actually when I see technical writings, I see the gist and the important thing that he wants to share. I don't see the grammatical mistakes or errors, those things. So even if you feel that you are not you don't like writing, go ahead and write. Yeah. At least I will. If I find, I will share it. I will put my reaction, my impressions on that if I like, obviously. So, but not only for writing. If someone wants to do some webinar, some recording, go ahead. If someone wants to like, just put it in the stories. We have stories in LinkedIn. We have stories in flits in Twitter. Just put it there. People will get to know. You will understand, right? And that will actually enhance your confidence also, I think. So whatever way, just put it out there. People want to know your view.
Okay, I don't want you to reveal much, but at least give us an idea about what is the next big thing that you're working on.
I am at the moment. I'm just spending time with my family, spending some quality time with my family. That's what my uh, at the moment my whole focus is on. Because 2020 was hard. I think it was hard for many people, and 2021 and beyond, we want to make it better. So yeah.
Well, before I let you go, I have one last question for you. So, when Shumon is not testing, what does he like to do?
I watching football, obviously, but most of the time I spend studying things. So, and non-fictional things. I mean, it's mostly related to to our software industry. Probably reading blogs, articles, and learning. I mean, coding. That is another thing that I do. But it's related to the because I enjoy those things. Probably making some side projects that I feel cool. I mean, it's like that. But yeah, also I will focus on traveling. I will 2021 is something that I'm looking forward to for more travels. So yeah,
Well, you just validated my the picture that I had about you in my head, about a very studious boy studying stuff, learning about new stuff. But yeah, you are fun, of course. I mean, we met personally once, though. That was in 2019. But it's been fun interacting with you every time. And this was such a fun conversation. This was really, really good. Thank you, Shumon, for your time this morning. It was such a pleasure talking to you. There is a lot to be learned from you. So I am considering a chapter two of Tester Speak, where I need to speak to my guests again. So you are definitely on for that.
thanks for the time, Vinesh. It was very nice. I think people will get to know us more through this test speak. Yeah,
Thank you so much, Shumon. I wish you a wonderful weekend and have lots of fun.
thanks, and same to you.